I started playing Marvel Future Revolution since its global debut, which was around August. Unbeknownst to me, I would embark on this insanely evil of a game. I took my sweet time playing, only relying on the bare minimum with Doctor Strange. Attempted to do dailies every day, and I started collecting a lot of random boxes, supply boxes, cards, costumes, you name it. But it became a problem. I hoarded.
I want you to meet somebody. Tell Gary where you're from.
I'm Matt Paxton. I'm from the TV show Hoarders.
I collected until my inventories were pretty much at capacity. And hoarding not because of some grand plan, but more so unclear on what hero or direction I would use the items on. Yes, the game is simple. Just level up the hero, level up the gear and the cards. The game seemed limited on what you could invest into, meaning the game only gave you so much of that gear and those items. So to truly max out your character, you would need to spend money. So unless you were willing to do so, you needed to be sure on what you were going to invest into and would guarantee that your character would be at the top long term. But then a new character arrived, Magic. Initially I didn't like her, but gradually enjoyed her gameplay. So it was time to unbox everything, clean up my inventory. After buying all her skills, upgraded them all, a literal waste of 20 million gold, it was time to start. And I started with potentials. I had about 980 materials saved up. That's 16 points on level 4, 21 on level 3, 32 on level 2, but I went with utility first, getting mostly on accuracy and stamina recovery. My thought process was to get a good base on those stats first, so that I could have a better feel on what stats I needed from my armor, cards, and badges. Playing the game for long term rather than just getting the DPS, thinking I had a higher ceiling and leveling up the equipment. After that, I worked on specializations. Luckily, I had enough materials to almost get all the non-active traits, level up most of the active ones up to level 2, and waited for the patch to level up the rest. Now at this point, I had a lot of boxes saved up.
Oh yeah, I got a big box, yes I do! I got a big box, how about you?
At least what I thought was a lot. Like 12 holiday boxes, about 25 Black Friday boxes, some Omega Supply boxes, Baby Group boxes, Rocket Supplies, some old Mad Titan boxes, a combination of 5-star, 4-star, 3 boxes. And as I was opening all these boxes, I realized that hoarding wasn't the greatest plan.
これはポイントとしては一つ一つ触ってみて自分がときめくかどうかを感じてみるんです。
So touch each item one by one and see if it sparks joy for you, if it brings you joy.
I mean, since I'm going into a new hero, maybe it makes more sense, but I shouldn't have waited this long. Because most of the box openings wasn't as grand. Wasn't many good drops as I had hoped for. The only opening that had potential was the region costume boxes, but only had 3 of them. So once I realized this, before I dived into any more boxes, I went and booted up good old spreadsheet. I got this idea from Wolverthor, and what he did was he took the character, went into the level 1 raid boss, Kingtron, and he would take each skill with auto attack and see how fast he would kill the boss. Now it's not the perfect way to gauge the DPS of a skill, because there are some factors which can skew the numbers, like depending on how fast you react at the start of the raid, getting guard broken, but it was the most controlled way to get some sense of the skill's DPS. So I took each skill individually and recorded the times for 5 rounds, got the average DPS of those skills. As I analyzed the times, I omitted the outliers. I didn't really account for the fastest or slowest. I merely wanted to understand which skill did the most DPS in a controlled environment. I had an idea of how I wanted to play Magic. So currently the meta dictates the highest burst damage wins all the PvP events. but I just don't think that's the way to play Magic effectively. Kinda tanky, has some status effects, has summons. So she needs a lot of gear, but that doesn't guarantee she would be effective maxed out. I think her Dark Magic class skills set her apart from the other options that she has. Not only for the lower cooldowns than most of her sword skills and summon ability, but her status effects like dots and the Dark Encounter skill to disable opponent's dodge. That would really shine, in theory. However, in practice, there are some skills that were surprisingly good. So the dot application was something that I was not expecting. Definitely misses a lot more than I thought, so you have to gear for that. The Hydra skill seems better in PvE, except for maybe Dual Hydra. Dimension Slash is okay. Being untargetable for a time is kinda nice, but they can just run away. So I thought Dark Encounter would be really good, but it doesn't drag unless the opponent's guard's shield is down. So going DPS like Dark Conjuration might be better. But I was still set on the Dark Magic class skills, and surprisingly the Abyssal Advent is really good DPS and hard for the opponent to deal with. So I went with the Uncanny X-Men costume for the crit and for the skill up until I could get a good Dark Domain set. So I had about 97 2-star operations boxes to open next. Give that some context. When you get top 10, you get 11. I know I've never really finished higher than place. A lot of top 20 or 30 finishes, but still, that's 2 months of top 10 finishes. Calculate that. Top 10 every week. But after opening those up, the chances of getting those 3 region costumes are still so limited. So at this point I still had a few boxes left to open, but I was going to save them for fodder as I got more gear over time. So something I forgot to mention was I opened up all the core boxes that I had, but those are just a pain. Everyone says they're bad. They are bad. Just a lost cause. Overall, I'm pretty disappointed in the RNG, but mostly in how I relied on these boxes. You really need to be spending the crystals and tickets to get these Omega points so that you can get those guaranteed costumes. I think that's the only way. Everything else is fodder. So, lessons learned, but hey, stay tuned. I will be opening some of the tickets that I still have. As always, thanks for watching.